My name is Richard Dudzicki. I'm an architect with 25 years experience of designing ecological buildings and passive houses. And this is a passive house EnerPHit project. It recently got certification. It is a 1960s brutalist stroke modernist building, and we've decided to effectively make this house work for another 100 years or so and make something special of it by looking at it working towards net zero. It is a passive house. The building is in a fairly, it's in a conservation sort of area around Clapham, and Aline is another architect, so my client is another architect who wanted to have a good input of how to design a passive house and been able to work together to try and create something quite special out of this building. The brief was to take a house that hadn't really been touched for about 40 years or so, if not longer, and to make it work and function in a modern way. The house itself was quite special because, as you can see, it's upside down living, but we basically gutted the entire house out, put new windows in and made it work for today's environment. One of the issues with this house, where we were really looking at the detailing, was the fact that this upstairs room is really quite special. And it's very much like a Eric Lyons spam type housing. The fact that we wanted to focus and make sure that we could reinstate the majority of the original furniture and to keep it in its style. There were some issues downstairs, which was how the downstairs space would work, because effectively the car was king in the 60s. The car is not the king anymore. So the garage space was quite large and long, and you would enter the car under a porte-cochere into the house. So the car used to drive into the house. This was something that was very much the zeitgeist of the late 60s, early 70s. It's something that is not really done nowadays. So now we've got a Tesla Powerwall outside, we've got a solar array on the roof. We've changed, and we've used the downstairs garage area as a workspace. And it's also not just as a workspace, but it's an amazing hallway. So it all now opens up onto the garden far easier than it did before. So the house actually now integrates a little bit better. The wood, we restored the ceiling. The ceiling was a wooden ceiling before, but this is a new wooden ceiling, which we restored. And we matched it and stained it so it would match the original colours that the original architect had. The same went with the kitchen units. This is all new, we've put this in. Okay, so we also made sure that the kitchen and the furniture that we designed, such as the doors and the architraves, would match the original vision that the architect originally had. So we wanted to make sure that whatever touches we did to the building was subservient to the ethos and the style of what the original architect felt. And this was something the client wanted too, and that she loved the house for what it was. Therefore, we wanted to be humble to that. But the problem was the quality of what there was here was not good. So now we've improved that quality, and this house is now triple glazed. It's also got a lovely kitchen which should work for the next 50 years. So the major features that we implemented when we were designing this as a passive house was mainly that we insulated all the walls to passive house standards. We used wood fibre on quite a few of the walls where we could. We insulated, took the render off the building and re-rendered the building with insulation underneath it. We also ended up triple glazing the windows. There is an MVHR, mechanical heat recovery, and there is also an air source heat pump. There is a Mixergy hot water tank. So effectively, this works as a passive house throughout. The building, the trickiest aspects of this building was the fact that it's a reinforced concrete building, and we didn't actually know whether there was stuff which was pre-stressed or not pre-stressed, and we had to be very careful where we were creating new openings or leaving the existing openings. So that was one of the hardest elements of the build. This roof has a very unique feature. As you can see, the roof is sloping, and all that sloping roof is all covered with solar panels. The entire roof provides about 7.8 kilowatts of energy, which is 77% of the energy needed of this house, which goes into the Tesla Powerwall. The average UK's home yearly energy consumption is 214 kilowatt hours per metre squared. And here, the energy consumption is only 25 kilowatt hours per metre squared. So the house needs 88% less energy than an average UK home. The energy bill of a typical house is £2,500. For this house is expected to be £177 annually, thanks to its design. We also have a rainwater harvesting system for garden use. There's a big 1,000 litre tank underneath the garden. That is where all the rainwater is harvested for gardening purposes. Also, potentially for the jacuzzi. If you want more information, please visit our website, www.rdauk.com. Alternatively, book an appointment with me.